Hello, and welcome to Hawks Podcast, or as it should be called, Seahawks Podcast, and the Factory of Pain. It's not sadness, it's pain. Uh, I'm your host, Tyler, and I'm joined, as always, by Matt. And today we'll be recapping, not really, but we'll touch on the Week 5 games. We'll talk about the atrocity that is the Vikings without Justin Jefferson and that whole Vikings Chiefs game as a whole. And then we will try our very hardest to predict the week 6 games. Because after last week, we have no idea who's good or not. All we know is the Niners are good, the Giants are bad, the Patriots are bad, and the Panthers are bad. Everybody else, questionable. Well, and the Broncos are bad. Sorry, forgot
And the
that.
Cardinals are bad.
Well, the Cardinals are surprising.
They're one
They're
and
not
four.
they're not as bad as we thought they were going to be.
They're 1-4, Tyler. They've gone back down to earth.
And we thought they were going to be 0 and 17. They're already exceeding my expectations.
Well, anytime the Cowboys play anybody, it could be easily a win.
That's true. Okay, so the Cardinals suck too. There we go. All right. We've got a lot of teams are bad. Only one team's good. The rest of them are kind of just there. They
Yeah,
exist. They could
yeah.
win or lose any week. All right. Cool. So,
Speaking of
to
teams who
recap,
can't win, though.
huh?
Speaking of teams who can't win, though.
Yeah, we're going to go into the Vikings. Only one turnover in this game. Starting off with the positives. Only one. By a new person, Josh Oliver. He had not fumbled yet this season. So it does seem to be, other than Kirk Cousins, everybody gets one fumble. And then you're done. So hopefully we just run out of guys who can fumble. And then we're good for fumbling. Because again, my number one goal, now that JJ 2K is out of the question, pretty much, unless he just goes off for 300 yards every game when he comes back, um, is now to just see a game without any turnovers on our side. So that's
Impossible
pretty.
challenge.
That's very. Those are very small goals for a team. So, but at least my team's not getting sacked 11 times in a game. So that's cool. Um. Anywho, that game, even without Justin Jefferson in the fourth quarter, was very much at least tieable in the end of regulation. Like again, overtime would have been a completely different animal. Whoever would get the ball first would obviously be a hard task. The Chiefs could probably win it at the very first drive if they got the ball first. The Vikings, with how we were moving the ball in the fourth quarter, I think we would have had a shot to win it if we got the ball first in overtime. And if not, we would have at least kicked a field goal. And our defense was doing things against Patrick Mahomes. He's only taken, I believe, 4 or 5 sacks this year, and the Vikings have 2 of them. So I feel great about that, considering our pass rush success rate has not been very high this year. So again, starting with the positives, but the negatives, I usually don't like to blame the game on the refs and things like that. I'm not that type of person.
Debatable.
Like, I mean, I usually don't say like this is like the two there's been 2 games this season, and ironically, there's been one team on the winning end, and it's the Chiefs. The Jets last week against the Chiefs, that was a terrible call.
Well, they
Way
couldn't have
late.
Patrick
First.
Mahomes losing to Zach Wilson. You know that.
Exactly. That's but he already he did on the stat sheet, but not in the actual game. Um But that was I think the whole NFL community agrees that was a terrible call because it was right after a different guy made the interception that the flag was thrown, well after the hold had occurred, and air quotes around the hold. Um, so that was obviously, taking away the Jets' chances of winning that game. Or I think that would have actually won them the game, right? Because then they went back down the field. So yeah. But anyway, near the end of the fourth quarter in our game, Kirk Cousins lobs a pass down the right sideline to Jordan Addison. Clear holding by the Chiefs DB. Just like it's been pretty much all game. He had like 3 or 4 holds called on him that game because all they did was hold our receivers. And all Tony Romo and Nance, who by the way, 15 years undefeated, the Vikings always lose whenever they call a game um for them. So I kind of knew we were going to lose with that anyway. But that aside, they were praising the Chiefs corners, and all I was saying is that they're holding every time, and they're getting penalties for it. Can't you guys see what's going on? Anywho, but he gets the hold on Jordan Addison. This is the one of the only times there were 10 flags thrown against the Chiefs in that game. There were, I think, 4 or 5 against the Vikings. All of those flags were late. Like I was what like there would be plays that would occur and there'd be a late flag. And I'd be like, what's this for? And then they call a holding on a Chiefs defensive back, or they'd call a false start or something. Or not the false start because that's when it happens, but the offensive holding, they'd call it after the play was over. And that was just wonky the whole way through. But to throw the flag and actually get the timing right when the hold occurred, that was the flag. I was like, okay, clearly pass interference. It was thrown on the spot, like by the ref who was clearly watching it. They have the audacity to pick the flag up. All right. And now I understand like some of those calls can be controversial. You're eyeballing it, the refs talk it over, regardless of what's going on. They can pick up the flag. That's fine. The thing that I'm more angry about though is that the cornerback in question took his helmet off at the end of the play. That's a clear unsportsmanlike conduct, 15-yard penalty, regardless. The only time that's not a penalty, and I've looked up the rules, is if you are heading back to your sideline or if your helmet came off during a contact play.
Was he heading towards
Neither
the
of those were the
sideline?
case. Huh?
Was he heading towards the sideline?
No. He was heading towards the official.
Rip Bozo.
So um it's when you're heading back to your own bench or if it comes off during contact. He was doing neither of those. He was going to argue with the official with his helmet off, which is also a sign of disrespect according to the NFL. Because I remember because previous star wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, Stephon Diggs, used to take his helmet off all the time, and you would see constant fines and penalties for him taking his helmet off. Especially he was known for doing it after he scored touchdowns. And again, the other time it doesn't matter is if it's a game-winning play, such as the Minneapolis Miracle when Stephon Diggs took his helmet off. That's the only time Stephon Diggs took his helmet off that he wasn't penalized. Um. Anyway, that I'm not saying that would have won us the game because obviously we would have still turned the ball. That was a turnover on downs on that play had they if they still picked up the flag like they did. But 15-yard field difference when we get the ball back, our defense makes the stop and we're trying to make a Hail Mary is a heck of a lot of a difference, especially if we have a chance to get to the punter as well. So, or the punt doesn't bounce the same way because he's 15 yards back of where he would be. So, because after that, the Chiefs were not able to run out the rest of the clock. We got the ball back again after that. We had another chance. It just was not a very good chance because we had no timeouts and like 50 seconds left. But 15 yards would have made a lot of a difference because Kirk Cousins probably would have thrown a ball down there. Our receivers would have actually been in the end zone. A lot of people want to blame Kirk for not throwing the ball up before he gets sacked. Our receivers weren't in the end zone yet. So even if they caught the ball, they would have gotten tackled and the game would be over. So that wouldn't have mattered. So again, bottom line is I disagree with the picking up the flag. If you threw the flag for pass interference, that's a flag. That's what it is. You're the ref who threw it saw it. So the refs who are looking from all the way on the other side should not be able to convince you otherwise. But even so, if that is the case, it's a clear penalty for taking off your helmet. The ref even told him to put his helmet back on instead of flagging him, which is complete favoritism in my opinion. So, but it's the Chiefs. They're, football's darling right now, as the Patriots used to be for so long. So we have to accept that new empire.
Well,
The
they're
Vikings
actually
are now
interesting to
without.
watch.
Yeah, I mean Patrick Mahomes is awesome. So, um, Yeah, they're interesting to watch. I will say that, but I'm just like, it just sucks to have to play them. So, and have that happen. Like I said it last week, I would have rather us just got smacked. Like, why couldn't they have just beat us 40-10? That would have been so much simpler. Um, and not have any flags be the issue of it. So, but no, the Vikings always have to make it a close game. So, but anyway, we're without Justin Jefferson for at least 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. Those are always concerning. We've made a plethora of roster moves, including the worst one of them all, bringing Sean Mannion back. But at least that's Kirk Cousins' like study buddy. So, maybe that'll actually help him. But uh I think that we need to be sellers at this trade deadline. I think if we aren't, then we have serious questions for our GM.
Do
So,
you
which I
trade
already have
Justin
some,
Jefferson?
but huh?
Do you
No, we don't
trade?
sell Justin Jefferson. No, you sell everyone else.
What would you accept for a Justin Jefferson trade offer?
Nothing less than 3 first-round picks.
That's insane.
They don't have to all be this year. That's not what I'm saying. But
That's still insane,
here's the
Tyler.
here's the thing. Look at all the receivers drafted before Justin Jefferson. Mainly Jalen Rager.
We
Where's
don't
he
talk
now?
about Jalen.
He's on the practice squad of the Patriots. My point with that is you can draft and look at the receivers drafted in the first round this year. None of them has had the immediate impact Justin Jefferson has had. Justin Jefferson's first start, 175 yards and a touchdown.
I think
First
that's a
start
little harsh.
in the NFL. But no, he's the best receiver in the league, and you hit gold because he didn't just he didn't develop into this production. He instantly came in with it and just kept it going. He's been consistently increasing his skill every single year. Every single year he's been in the league, he increases it. He increases his previous amount of yardage by 200 yards. So
Well, I would have said
his
Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams were top five wide receivers when they were traded, and they didn't get that haul.
well, they're not number one, and also Devonte Adams is aging out. And Tyreek Hill is a speed guy. I don't know why Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill also had a massive contract. Justin Jefferson doesn't have that
No,
yet.
he didn't get the contract till he signed with the Dolphins. The
Well, he
Chiefs
was he
wouldn't
was
give
due,
him an
but the point
extension.
is he was due the contract that year.
Yeah.
We have the option to pay Justin Jefferson after this year, or make it, or he can request a trade and somebody else can pay him next year because he still can play out his 5th-year option. So Tyreek Hill was due a new deal regardless that year. So that partially plays into the trade aspect. With Justin Jefferson, a new team acquiring him, like if a team that Justin Jefferson would love to go to, like the Dolphins or
Seattle.
the Chiefs or Seattle, sure. A team with a winning record, essentially, that could theoretically make it to the Super Bowl. So we'll just say the Chiefs. He'll be the number one wide receiver target on the Chiefs.
Mm,
Um, and well, Travis Kelce's being a tight end, so he'll be the number one receiver on the Chiefs.
okay, that's fair.
He shares the targets with Travis Kelce.
Wait, you're
Um,
saying Kadarius Toney wouldn't be number one?
oh yeah, he would be, but after you start converting targets to receptions, Jefferson would be the would be the leader.
Kadarius Toney would be
Jefferson,
leading the team in drops.
right? Exactly, by a lot too. He'd be leading in targets and drops.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. But my point is
And
is
pick
that
sixes
Justin
caused
Jefferson
by.
is the best receiver in the league, and you struck gold. You don't know what other first round wide receivers are going to turn into because you've got other of the top receivers in the league right now were not drafted till the second or third round. Like look at DK Metcalf. He was a second round pick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you don't know when you're going to hit the receiver. You know what you have in Justin Jefferson. You don't know what you have in 3 first-round draft picks. Like, and that's one reason why I don't even want to talk about trading Justin Jefferson because I still wouldn't feel confident with 3 first-round draft picks with my GM because I feel like we would get nothing comparable to the amount of production Justin Jefferson has with 3 first-round draft picks. So, I mean, again, like it might be different. Like, say the Cardinals wanted Justin Jefferson. They're not the Cardinals, but the Bears. First of all, that'd be in division. So that increases the price a little bit. But if they gave up their two top five draft picks and maybe a first next year, that I might accept that because then we get Caleb Williams, hopefully. Um, what's the guy from Ohio State's name? Harrison, something like that.
He's not the
Um,
top in the
the
top
leading
five.
wide receiver. We
Oh, Harrison. Yeah.
yeah, we get Caleb Williams and Harrison this year, and then whoever the top cornerback is next year, most likely is what I would draft if I was the GM. But again, I'm not the GM, so knowing ours, if we made that trade for Jefferson, we get two safeties this year and another one next year. So, um,
Bad thing is
I
the Panthers have the tiebreaker on you now.
yeah, yeah, they do. But anyway, yeah, we're not talking about trading Justin Jefferson. I'm saying sell everybody else to make the money for Justin Jefferson's contract this year.
Ugh.
Keep him here in purple forever. You know, we need something to root for, and that's Justin Jefferson. Anyway,
Factory of sadness.
um, now we're kind of just rooting for the tank. I feel like as fans, you never want to actually root for the tank. Like you still want to see your team do well and win, but I
Like
think the
last year with the
Vikings are doing
Seahawks and the
the
Broncos.
right. The Vikings are doing the best job of it though, is they're making every game exciting. It just happens to be disappointing in the end because it's not like again, like I guess that would be the bad part of getting blown out 40-10 is like I don't get to be excited about my team, but or like know they're in the game at all. But with the Vikings, they've been in every single game this season. So win or lose, it's been exciting to watch. Um, so I think they've just got to see what they have in a bunch of rookies. They've got to try some things out, finally get the run game going, which they did the 2 weeks before the Chiefs. So get Cam Akers more involved. I think that's how you do that. And I think that, we have a promising future. 2024 is meant to be the year. This is meant to be the hit all the dead cap year anyway, from guys like Adam Thielen and Eric Kendricks who left this offseason. So, or last offseason. So, I mean, I just have to keep reminding myself that. And now with Justin Jefferson hurt, it makes it a lot easier for me to just go, okay, cool. Whatever happens, happens. We're just going to play out our games. It's going to be whatever. And that'll do it for my Vikings recap. I'm not going to keep it too long. Um, the rest of the week, we're kind of just going to compile. The reason why we're compiling the videos is because Matt and I were texting at 1 p.m., 2 p.m. or so, Sunday afternoon. And we had already gotten the Thursday night game and the Sunday morning game between the Bills and the Jaguars wrong. And we only had about two picks correct
At
at the
halftime.
time that we were texting. And even after some of those picks turned correct by the end of the game, we were still shocked at the outcomes of some of the games and how we thought some of the teams were. Again, there's certain matchups that kind of just could favor certain teams, but the way so
No
many
confidence
coaching
at all.
changes have changed, the way the players have been traded, and just the new defenses and offenses being shown, the amount of drop passes around the league, um, you just have no confidence in anybody.
Even the
So
Cowboys
even the Cowboys, again, the only team I have confidence in is the Niners.
for now.
So
Until Brock Purdy gets hurt.
exactly. And then Kirk Cousins will waive his no trade clause and we'll get something. I don't care what it is. Seventh round pick. I don't care. Give us something for Kirk Cousins.
Wait, you gave Kirk Cousins a no trade clause?
Yeah.
Stupidity.
Well, he took a pay cut. So that was part of it.
Stupidity.
So well, it was either that or
Get a new
I mean,
quarterback that might be decent.
who else would we get with all the contracts we had to pay this year and all of the dead cap we had to eat? Like it was either that or maybe we go grab Gardner Minshew and he'd be our quarterback instead of the backup on the Colts.
You could have gotten Trey Lance for a fourth.
I think we were looking into that actually. The Vikings were a potential trade. No, I'm not even kidding. I think the Vikings were potential trade candidates for that. But we weren't willing to give it up. I mean, we found a good guy in Jaron Hall in the fifth round, who is our current QB2. So, because with Nick Mullins just went on IR. So, I mean, I'd like to see him develop. So, I mean, I wouldn't like, I'm not going to mind if Kirk Cousins gets traded. Like, I'd like to see what the rookie's got, whether it's good or bad. It's good to get him experience and see what we have in him. So,
Also, there's some undrafted quarterbacks from the past draft or rookies that are just sitting on the bench right now you could have gone for.
exactly. But that wouldn't have given us the best chance of winning. And it doesn't keep Justin Jefferson happy. But now Justin Jefferson's hurt. So, and now our team doesn't have very good odds to make the playoffs. We have like less than 1% chance, I think,
Well, your rookie
based off of history.
gets more catches now.
Yes, and that's what and that's another thing I'm excited about as a Vikings fan. Like I said, getting the young guys more opportunities. Jordan Addison should hopefully get a lot of more of those opportunities because Kirk Cousins is going to have to trust him going down this 4 week stretch
And
because
TJ
that is the
Hawkinson.
clear wide receiver one. Yes, and that'll be
He's
good
not
for my
hurt.
fantasy team. He did get hurt during the Chiefs game, but he's fine now. So
So both of the players I talked about,
yeah, well, Ezra Cleveland's still good. So
for now.
yeah, well, we
And
have
that's not
Dalton
even
Risner.
me doing voodoo. That's just somehow things I said 2 weeks ago somehow popping up. So I don't know if it's a 2 week delay. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, CJ Hawkinson was your normal out for a few plays, and then he's back in. Justin Jefferson is now out for 4 weeks at least. So, um, I'm glad we made amends or whatever you want to call it last week because I'm done with you saying names. So, and I'm done making stupid puns. So that
Do you
agreement
believe my powers now?
I never didn't believe your powers because you started calling it with a Caleb Evans, and he's been going out a few plays every game. So I'm just like, okay, that's just a reoccurring thing. I don't even know if that's your powers though. Like it did happen the week you called it, but the thing is, it's just been happening every week. So I'm like, I think part of it is Matt calling it, but I think part of it is just he just is going to be out for a couple of plays every week because he just gets banged up on
Did
plays.
it
He is a
scare
smaller
you?
cornerback, so not really. I mean, we got a bunch of young guys to try and rotate on cornerback as well, and so I want to see them get opportunities as well. Except for Andrew Booth, another bad draft pick. Um, but it was a risky one because he was a great cornerback, just very injury prone, and he just can't get it together.
All right.
So.
Well, basically, to wrap up our thoughts of week 5, a lot of things happened that we need to see week 6 before we start actually getting into, okay, here's what we think. So, kind of the reason why we're not doing a predictions video or a review of week 5 this week. We'll probably dig deeper into everything once we get a good look at week 6.
Yeah. And hopefully we learn a few things more, but we still do have credibility. My rank is 50 and 28 on the season, and Matt's rank is 47 and 25 on the season. So, or sorry, 31 um on the season. I went the wrong way there.
I
Uh
wish.
so uh but yeah, so I mean we're both well above 500 with our games, our predictions, so we still are credible in the sense that our picks just happen to be more right than they are wrong. Hopefully that continues. But with that being said, let's move on to week 6, which honestly I believe as we were going over it, we maybe have 2 or 3 differences. So it's gonna be another one of those weeks where we kind of just go down the list. Some of these will have no explanation, such as our Thursday night game. Kansas City is going to win, no questions.
Yes.
So, moving on
Easy
after that,
dubs.
this is one of the few that we differ on.
Incorrect.
Um, the Matt, I believe you picked the Ravens.
Incorrect.
Oh, you have you switched to the Titans?
Yes.
Okay. Well, sorry. Prior to the show, Matt said he was going to pick the Ravens, but that might have just been to spite me because I said I was
No,
picking the
I
Titans.
just changed it.
You just changed it. Okay. All right. Well, he just changed it now, so we are both picking the Titans. which according to the app is a major upset because 85% of people have picked the Ravens so far. And I'm not surprising. Like if I see the result of this game and it's a Ravens victory, I wouldn't be surprised. But I just believe that Tennessee is going to have a bounce back game. They finally got D Hop more involved. He had a lot of catches in the previous game more than he's had in any other game. Tannehill's finding him finally. So um they're getting both Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears involved in the backfield, even at the same time. And I think that there's a lot of things they can do with that offense there. And that defense is still just very well coached under Mike Vrabel. So
Also,
I
it's an
have faith
across
in
the
them.
pond game. So I'm
Yep.
assuming if Tennessee can get their run game going, they can outwill Baltimore.
Right.
And just jet lag in general, I think will be against Baltimore's disadvantage than Tennessee's advantage. But
Yep. And
I'm going
that
with
seems to
Tennessee.
be the factor too, because I believe Jacksonville stayed in Europe after their first week there, right?
Yeah, I believe
So
so.
they essentially got two home games, even though one of them was supposed to be away. So
Well, London is just the Jaguars' new home.
it is. It is. And maybe part of that goes into the rest of the AFC South, and Tennessee gets part of the benefits. But even if they don't, Tennessee is going to get there first because it's their home game. The Ravens have a lot of injuries. They had a lot of drop passes last week,
They sucked
and
against
they
the
gave up
Steelers.
against the Steelers. The Steelers offense, 32nd in most major categories because of
Against
Matt
Kenny
Canada,
Pickett.
called his own play. The meme of Matt
Wow.
Canada's face lives rent free in my head because he didn't call the play, and yet it was a huge bomb to Pickens for the touchdown.
Sheesh. Did not know
So, but
this.
anyway, with that, we have the Titans winning. That is one we had to explain because that is one we could see going either way. But with how things have looked recently, it seems more likely that the Titans get a bounce back victory than the Ravens do because the Titans had a better looking performance in their loss than the Ravens did in their loss.
Tyler,
So,
this next game, I want you to know a very important stat.
okay.
Desmond Ritter has never lost at home, whether
Yeah,
for
and
college or NFL.
yeah, I I understand. It is with that I also picked the Falcons.
Yes.
I had them picked before Matt told me that for the record. Matt and I talked off camera. I already told him I was picking the Falcons. But my reasoning is more along the lines of, I mean, sure it's at Atlanta, so that helps, not just because of Desmond Ritter's, record, but it's also just home field advantage is still a thing. The
Washington
Falcons
sucks.
looked pretty good against the Texans, even with their turnovers. They still managed to uh, pull out that victory. And they got creative on offense. They had a double reverse, and Drake London threw a pass. So, like, getting guys who are only in their second year involved in throwing the football and doing trick plays like that, I think that's creative. It's doing things with their offense that where we kind of expected Atlanta's going to have to heavily rely on their defense this year. I think they're showing that Bijan Robinson was a great addition, obviously, even though he had one of those turnovers. Um,
We even had a
you know,
Kyle Pitts sighting.
we did. He got them to first and goal for a Desmond Ritter running touchdown.
I
So
remember when
um
they said that he was going to be the next best tight end, and then Atlanta's like, do I really have
not
to
if
make plays for him?
he can't be the next best tight end if we don't ever use him. Big brain right
I'm
there.
going to
All
have
you
the most
guys.
expensive decoy in NFL history, and
Well,
y'all ain't ready for this.
he's not even signed to a contract though, is he?
No.
Because what, like, compared to other tight ends, his contract's probably not going to be that big. Because, like, he
He
hasn't
doesn't
done
have the
much.
stats.
Exactly. So, like, that's kind of good for Atlanta. So if they want to re-sign him, they can kind of go to him and be like, hey,
You
you
haven't
know,
done jack.
you haven't done much, so here's $2 million. Stay with us. Like, you know, I don't know.
Now,
But
somebody would love to basically say, hey, no, because Kansas City would be the ones to be like, hey, you want to come learn from Travis Kelsey?
I mean, the backup tight ends. on the Chiefs look great. So
Imagine a Kyle Pitts, Travis Kelsey tight end room.
see that we have to wait until we see it because so far from what we've seen from Kyle Pitts, that'd be just still the Travis Kelsey show. So, but
Well,
yeah,
no, but
imagine him actually being involved in plays. Oh yeah, that
though that's what I'm saying because
crazy.
Andy Reid
Yeah,
would actually get him involved.
exactly. Yeah, I'm following. But
You don't even
anyway,
have to
that's all
have wide
without even
receivers.
discussing the other team, who's Washington, who again, like, sure, you could look at it as a feel-good story. Dick Buck has passed away, legendary player for the Bears, linebacker, Hall of Famer. He passed away the day of the game against the Commanders.
It was nice to see
So you
Chicago
could
come out.
think you could think you know, some magic was there. The Bears had more than enough to play for that day, so they popped off against the Commanders. But also, you let Justin Fields throw for another 4 touchdowns and no interceptions.
They're playing
So
the long game, Tyler.
yeah,
I think Washington wants Caleb Williams. So you have the Bears suck
and why did they win 2 games already?
because Tyler, they had Dan Snyder as their owner for how long? They don't make
Yeah,
good decisions.
yeah, and I mean I still think they'll win a couple games this year, like a couple more. They'll probably end up with 4 or 5,
Yeah.
but
But I will
so I
say
don't think the Caleb Williams things is true. I think Chicago. I mean, that's 2 weeks in a row. Does throughout the past 2 games, Fields is 8-1 in touchdowns, interceptions. So
against
I
bad
mean,
defenses, but I
correct, and
will
he's about to go up
say
against another one in the Vikings. So
I will say for Washington, I don't want to say this because I like Ron Rivera and the story of him coming in and beating cancer and all that was such a
mm,
feel good story.
yeah,
And all the stuff that happened with the Commanders and him still leading that team through, but it's just there's a point where you're just have to say you've given him so much time and nothing's improved.
mhm.
Like we haven't seen anything new from that roster.
Yeah, I mean, well, we are seeing Sam Howell develop, and you're gonna have growing pains, much like you have with Jordan Love. Both of them are actually similar than you think. Jordan Love had one actual start before this year against the Chiefs when Rodgers had COVID. Sam Howell only had one start before this year against the Cowboys at the end of last year. So I mean, both of them are going to experience growing pains just like any quarterback would as they're starting, except for CJ Stroud, apparently, because he's just amazing, but we'll get to that later. Um, but I mean,
We'll
you
we'll
got
have the
Chase
Jordan
Young,
Love argument in another day. I have some thoughts on that, but we'll get to
you've
that.
got, I mean, yeah, but he also doesn't have the weapons. I mean, he's got Christian Watson, but I mean, you know, yeah, I get it. There's things, but I mean, when you look at Washington and Green Bay, their offenses at least, there's not too much difference there. Um, I mean, you got Scary Terry and you got Christian Watson. Terry's better, I would argue, but Christian Watson is coming onto the scene and making a name for himself. So, um,
Scary
you know,
Terry, even though he's a great wide receiver, he's never really put up the stats to make him a great wide receiver.
but
Like we haven't
he's got
seen
he's got
elite
no one else to
numbers.
distract from him though.
But
Like I can't name the other wide receivers on Washington's team. I can name the running backs, but I can't name the receivers.
we agree Lance is gonna win this game.
We agree. And I'm just gonna go ahead and do the next one because I don't really believe in saving our teams for last, or at least mine, because mine's not really important. I'm just gonna get this out of the way. I did
What?
promise, huh?
We save them for the end.
Okay, fine. I'll honor tradition. So we're gonna skip the next two. We're gonna go down 49ers, no question.
Yeah. Miami, no
Miami
question.
Dolphins, no question. Yeah. Um, both of us were a little hesitant, or no, sorry, I was a little hesitant in this next one. I kind of wanted to pick the upset, quote unquote, even though both teams are the same record, with the Colts taking it in Jacksonville, but I decided against it and I took the Jaguars. Matt, I believe you did the same, right?
Yeah, Jacksonville had a good bounce back game. I feel like they'll continue their momentum. Colts had a great win last week, but it's also, I don't know about Anthony Richardson health, and Jaguars are actually decently healthy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Gardner Minshew is going to be the starter for a few weeks because
Okay.
Anthony Richardson's. I believe he's on IR for four.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
similar to Justin Jefferson. I think he's out for 4 weeks
Yeah,
or so.
Jaguars definitely them.
So I mean, Gardner Minshew has been solid as the Colts QB when
But
he's had
those
to
are
come
usually
in.
times when Anthony
So
Richardson goes out early.
yeah, but regardless, he's looked well, which is it's
Yeah.
hard to do that more than one time, and he's done it multiple times already this year. So and he also used to play for the Jaguars, so I mean that could help him in this instance.
Or
But
could hurt him.
exactly. And Jacksonville's no longer at home because they're back in North America. So um, that could also hurt Jacksonville. But
They are still in
regardless,
Duval County, though.
Jacksonville's roster is stacked, especially without, Anthony Richardson on the other side for this matchup. So we both of us think Jacksonville should win this game. Will we be surprised if the Colts win? Probably not.
Depending on
But
how the game goes. If it's a close game, fine. If it's a
yeah.
blowout, what in
Yeah,
the
if
world?
the Colts win 40-7, I'm gonna have questions. But if it's like 23-20, I'm not gonna really bat an eye. Um anyway, moving on. I have the New Orleans Saints winning this one.
I have the
Uh,
Texans winning just because I feel like the Texans just had a bad game last week. Texans are back home. New Orleans Saints have been a very up and down team. Where
mhm.
the Texans, it's weird to say this, but they've been more of a consistent team than most teams in the league. Yeah,
I,
they're
I
two
would
and
agree with
three,
that.
but they've looked good in most every game. I can't say that for the Saints.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that. Um, I think part of the Saints problems were with Derek Carr briefly going out and Jameis Winston having to fill in. That definitely hurt them. I think without that happening, they'd be 4-1. Um,
But they also
but
did lose to Tampa Bay with Carr.
correct. But that's always been the heated matchup in that division anyway. Um, back with Drew Brees and Tom Brady, Drew Brees would sweep him in the regular season, and then Tom Brady would beat him in the playoffs. So,
Yeah, the one year
um,
they did that.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like it's still when Drew after Drew Brees left, Tom Brady still struggled with the
Yeah,
Saints.
I know what you
So
mean.
so I mean, yeah. But I think he split with them the next year, if I'm not mistaken. So and that was I don't even who was the quarterback then.
Jameis.
Jameis.
Or it
Yeah,
might have been Andy Dalton at that time.
yeah, it was Andy. Yeah, I think it was Andy Dalton. Yeah, because we played him last year. Yeah, that was the other double doink
Because I
in
think
London.
Jameis went out with what a ACL tear at the beginning.
Something like that, yeah. So Andy Dalton was the quarterback there with Taysom Hill filling in at times. He was the Joker player, what you call it. But yeah, I mean the
How
Saints
Taysom Hill
coming
is
off.
still in the NFL is crazy.
I mean, I love that player because I mean, you ask Taysom Hill what position he plays, he just says football. Like that dude plays everything except offensive line, and that to me is awesome to watch. I love seeing him do all types of trick plays and play every single position except offensive line. I like seeing that. So and the dude's still got an arm too. So I mean, if he needed to be a quarterback, the Saints have their emergency quarterback without having to add to the 53-man roster. So they've got that secret ace up their sleeve with that. But I mean, New Orleans came off a dominant win against New England. Then again, most teams have come off a dominant win against New England this year, except for the Jets because Bill Belichick still owns the Jets. Uh, but I don't know. I just when I see this matchup, Houston has looked good. They've exceeded expectations for sure. I just think that the Saints do have a better roster all around, and I think that the Texans are going to lose a close one here. Like again, am I going to be surprised if the Texans win this game? No, but I think the Saints should win this game based off of their roster. I think that defense is going to be a little bit more troubling for Houston, and I think that their offense can compete with Houston's offense. As long as they utilize all the wide receivers. Alvin Kamara is back. Let's not forget that he was out for 3 weeks. Now he's back. So
I
I think
haven't seen
that's
him
also a
light the
factor.
world on fire though.
I mean, he hasn't, but it's still another weapon they can use. They have a receiving back whereas they were using Jamal Williams before he went on IR, where he was mainly a just a run it downhill type of back. So it gives them more options. Regardless, we picked differently for this one, but I don't think either of us would be surprised with this outcome either, especially after what happened in week 5. So moving on,
Las Vegas,
um, Las Vegas, no question. Patriots have not looked good.
Rams.
So we have Detroit next. Or wait, why is Detroit the app has it wrong? Interesting. Okay. So the app is on a different order than we are apparently. So I apologize for that. Next on the list that you guys see, I agree. The Rams should beat the Cardinals.
Eagles.
The Eagles should beat the Jets.
Now Detroit.
Detroit should beat the Buccaneers. But
Buffalo.
that one
Yeah.
out of that slot there though, those 3 games, Arizona, Philadelphia, Detroit at the Rams, Jets, Tampa Bay, I would be the least surprised if Tampa Bay won that game.
How is Arizona at Los Angeles and Philadelphia at New York the prime games? Where
I
you have
don't know.
Seattle and Cincinnati, and that's kind of it. But still,
Yeah, I mean, if I'm making these prime games, I would keep Detroit and Tampa Bay because
yeah,
both
that's
of
fine.
them only have one loss. I'd put your game in there with Cincinnati, and I'd put Baltimore and Tennessee in there. That's probably what I would do for the
Well,
for the
Baltimore and
425
Tennessee's
games.
the London game.
Yeah, but I mean, if I have free control over the schedule,
Oh
I'm
well,
okay. Then I put the division matchup for 3-2 for the 2-3-2 teams in the AFC South with the Colts and the Jags in there.
that's fine. Yeah,
That's an easy fit. Or we could put New Orleans and Houston in there. That'd be a good game to put in 425.
two good
So,
quarterbacks.
um, so anyway, um, where are we
And
now? Okay, yeah. So, the New Jersey Giants taking on the Buffalo Bills.
can we stop putting the Giants in freaking prime time, guys?
Serious. It's because they were a playoff team last year. You're welcome, Giants, for sticking you with Daniel Jones in that massive contract. That was our previous defensive coordinator. You're welcome.
I'm
They
tired
should
of
have
seeing the
given
freaking Giants, man.
they should take that entire contract and give it to Saquon because we all know it's Saquon who did it last year. It's evident by the fact they haven't been able to do anything without him. And yet last year they had him a whole year and they were able to get places. Gee, coincidence? No, you have a star running back. Um, anyway, Buffalo, no question. Giants have done nothing impressive this season, including their only win against the Cardinals.
How many
So
times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
yeah, we're just gonna I think a new thing we might start doing on the podcast is just reviewing how many times Daniel Jones gets sacked every week.
Oh, I think he just got sacked right now.
I think so. Yeah. We'll add that to the counter. All right, and finishing it up for the games that are not ours, we've got the Cowboys taking on the Chargers. This is interesting because it's a neutral site. So,
Is it?
well, yeah, the
Oh,
Chargers don't have fans and it's
yeah,
not
that's
in
right. That's
Dallas.
right. Never mind. You had me in the first half, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I know, but at least you understand my reasoning.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
this primetime
This is
game,
just a Cowboys game. What do you mean?
I don't have a problem with this primetime game
Yeah,
because this is a high octane offense in the Chargers against what used to be a high octane defense in the Cowboys, and
until
who
the
some
accident
people
waiting to happen.
exactly, and what some people have said the offense is going to bounce back, which again, this is an interesting matchup. Dallas's pass defense is not looking good. So the Chargers should have a field day against them.
Should.
On the flip side, the Chargers' run defense is one of the worst in the league. So Tony Pollard could go off against them. The question is, who's going to choke this? If we know anything, the Chargers choke a lot.
But the
But
Cowboys also are the accident waiting to happen.
I love it when the Cowboys choke though, And I don't know. I think the Chargers are going to do it. I think they'll pull off the win. Matt brought up a very good point before the podcast that this is the Kellen Moore revenge game. The previous offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, now offensive coordinator for the Chargers. I think he's got a good plan dialed up, and he's going to use it.
He's seen
Heck,
that defense.
they'll probably copy the Cardinals' plan for Micah Parsons and run Austin Eckler down Micah Parsons' throat every play when they need to run. And then, like I said, that secondary of Dallas is beat up. So I think they're going to have a field day with their receivers. And the Chargers' offensive line is one of the best in the league. So I don't think Dallas's defensive line is going to hit home as much, especially because Justin Herbert has pocket presence, like
Yeah.
or pocket awareness rather. So
Unless he has a lead.
right. So yeah. So if the Chargers don't get a substantial lead, I think they're going to win. If they do, Dallas will probably win. Your thoughts?
Now, if Dallas has a chance to win with a minute 30 left at the 5 yard line,
Pick
Dak
six.
Prescott will throw a pick.
It'll be a pick six.
Just a pick.
Now watch them be up, and it's a 3rd and 6, and they've got to pass it. You're up 3, but you got to pass it to get the first down because the Chargers don't have any timeouts. Pick six.
Something like that. I don't know.
If I get that right, I'm gonna be so happy. Watch that happen on Monday night. 3rd and 6. What do the Cowboys have dialed up here? Oh, it's a pick six. There we go.
If they do
That'd be
choke the
amazing.
lead, expect a video Monday night.
Oh yeah. You mean if the Chargers choke the lead?
No, if Dallas chokes.
Gotcha. Right.
Actually, I'm waiting to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna play that pretty much all the time. We're just not playing it now because we both expected the Niners to beat the crap out of Dallas like they do every time they play.
Also, it
So
wasn't even them choking, so
yeah, it wasn't them choking, it was just them facing a better team that they wouldn't admit until after. So
and now Micah Parsons wants all that again.
nice save there, Matt. Having some slight technical difficulties, but it's nothing that slapping the table can't solve.
I don't even have the table next to me.
All
I have a
right, moving
chair.
on. Moving on to the House of Pain and the flying high birds. Something just fell in Matt's room.
No, that was me hitting my chair.
Oh, nice. Okay. What'd that chair do to you, man?
You said slap the table, and that
And
was the
again,
closest thing
that's a
near me.
chair. That's not a table. So many questions, so little answers, but hey, so is the NFL every week. So, with that being said, going
There
to
we
the
go.
next two games that we have, the last two, we've got Minnesota at Chicago. Honestly, you could just flip a coin for this game.
Minnesota.
Um, but I'm also going to pick
Actually, you know
Minnesota.
what? No, nope, nope, nope. Chicago.
Okay. Um, you sure?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I'm
You
not. I think
actually
you.
spoke me into it earlier.
How did I speak you into it?
You're a terrible defense. We saw DJ Moore finally getting involved last week.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't have Justin Jefferson. It's at Chicago.
yeah. I mean, we did still sack Patrick Mahomes though. If we put pressure on Fields, I think he could serve it up. So we'll see. But yeah, I am not allowed out of my pick, so part of that's probably just to try and get another comeback pick on me. Because I promised last podcast if the Vikings lost to the Chiefs, I would pick them against Chicago and vice versa. So I have to pick Minnesota. But I will say this caveat: if Minnesota loses this game, I don't think I'm going to pick them again for the rest of the season. I may change if they start suddenly stacking a bunch of wins, which I don't see happening. But if that does happen, I may pick them again. But until further notice, if they lose to Chicago, I'm not going to pick them again. But I could totally see them losing to Chicago because, like you said, no Justin Jefferson. So, I mean, but we have other players on the offense. We've got Brian Flores, who's the creative defensive coordinator. The Bears don't have a good offensive line, and our pass rush has been able to hit home sometimes. So, or this is honestly, this is the first team where we haven't faced a top offensive line front besides the Panthers. So
And you
I
almost
could
lost
I
that
could
game.
actually this game is more even than you think. Like,
I'm not saying it's not even. I'm just saying you're gonna.
right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to be like, okay, yeah, because the Minnesota's gone up against a lot of good lines, both offensive and defensive. So Chicago has neither. So this will be an interesting game, for sure. But yeah, so I have Minnesota, Matt has Chicago. And moving on, we have Seattle at Cincinnati. So
4
naturally, we're gonna have the guy whose team is playing pick first.
So Seattle coming off their bye week, Cincinnati coming off of a hard fought win against the Cardinals. Did not look great at first, and then Jamar Chase finally had a sighting, and Joe Burrow
Kept on
finally had a
kept
good.
on being seen,
Hmm?
and he kept on being seen.
But Seattle has a better defense than Arizona, and I feel like coming off the bye week, they've had time to get prepared. They've had time to get healthy. Jamal Adams should be back. Everyone's healthy. Offensive line's been looking good. Geno Smith, hopefully he can finally start. He's been good. He just needs to get back to being efficient, especially on third down. And Cincinnati hasn't had the best defense this year. So I see Seattle winning this game.
I'm going to agree and say the Seattle Seahawks will win this game. I was tempted to switch my pick to the Bengals, but um again, another game in my opinion that I really wouldn't be shocked who wins because I mean Joe Burrow could find Jamar Chase a bunch of times and just win the game.
I,
But I mean, with Witherspoon, is Woolen back?
yeah.
Okay, so I mean, with them covering Jamar Chase, you don't really know. So I mean, again, this I could do a coin flip for this game too, honestly, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna pick Seattle. Um, I feel like coming off a bye week, they're good. They're getting healthy. They've got key players. They've shown me a lot more this season than Cincinnati has. So I mean, give me the Seahawks. I mean, this is probably the start of Cincinnati's comeback streak. So because I picked the Seahawks, Cincinnati's going to win. But you know, it's all good.
Put Witherspoon and Tyreek Woolen on Jamar Chase.
Then who's going to be covering? Is it Boyd?
T. Higgins is out.
T Higgins is that so? But they have the best trio before T Higgins was out. So who's the other one? Boyd,
Is he still there?
or was he the one that went to Arizona?
Hold on.
They got three guys. I know T Higgins is hurt. So who's their other one?
Yeah, well, there's Tyler Boyd. I thought it was Taj Boyd. Is it Tyler?
No, it's Tyler Boyd.
Well, he doesn't even have a touchdown yet, and only 166 yards on 23 receptions.
Yeah, then again, but you also have to remember the first few weeks of the Bengals offense, which was nothing. So
Eh,
Jamar Chase didn't have anything before yesterday, or not yesterday, this week.
eh,
So,
eh.
but so that's interesting. But yeah, so both of our games looking to be coin flips in my opinion. So, that'll be interesting.
We
But regardless, at this point, I'm just hoping I go a winning record to finish the whole season with this pick'em league. So it's my only goal at this point. So
Because we don't start,
um
we should be okay.
yeah, I mean
Well,
we just gotta be smart about it. So um yeah, I think I mean again, looking at these picks, I still feel like I'm gonna get a bunch of them wrong because it's gonna be those close games where I picked one team and I'm like I could see the other team winning and then the other team is just gonna win the game.
yeah.
So
Almost like last
um
where we had two picks going right.
mhm.
out of like seven once we were at halftime of the 1 o'clock games.
Correct. I will say though that I feel like we could have some caveats here. What will we do if any of these three things happen? If Cleveland beats San Francisco, if Carolina beats Miami, or if the Giants beat Buffalo?
Yeah.
Which of those would you be most shocked to see?
Okay, quick.
It's got to be between Panthers and Giants, right?
Tyler, answer me this.
Hmm.
Is Deshaun Watson back yet?
I don't know. Is he?
I know Jimmy G was back last Monday.
Yep. Let me look up Deshaun Watson.
Who else? I don't even think Daniel Jones is playing Sunday night.
Deshaun Watson's questionable. He didn't practice today.
Can you look at Daniel Jones?
Yeah. But does it really matter with the Giants?
No.
I was gonna say Deshaun Watson matters more than Daniel Jones does by a long shot.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Probably the one I'd be most shocked is Carolina.
Carolina, Miami. Yeah. I said it was between them and the Giants. I mean,
I just don't see the Giants even having a chance without Daniel Jones.
okay, Daniel Jones did not practice today either. I don't know his designation though.
Oh, so I guess we'll keep an eye on that one.
Yeah. So, but I will say with this though, I don't think we should change any of our picks unless there's like a huge superstar that gets injured.
Kind of like Deshaun Watson being cleared to go and then deciding an hour before the game, well, yeah, I'm not going to play.
Yeah, no, I'm talking like, by some miracle Justin Jefferson gets back and you want to pick the Vikings, like, but it's something like we obviously know that's not going to happen, but like
Well, no,
we're obviously blanking on star players right now, but somebody comes back for a team and we're like, oh, or somebody gets hurt for a team, like let's say Jamar Chase goes down for the Bengals, but neither of us picked the Bengals, but you know what I'm saying.
if it's a
So,
star player, we're allowed to say so.
yeah.
Oh,
But
if
I
it's
would say for
like
for the stuff we mentioned today, it doesn't.
if it's some
Um,
tight end, we're not allowed to change.
Yeah, if it's Deshaun Watson or Daniel Jones or any of these players, like we're not no, because we didn't even pick them to win. So
If it's a starting quarterback, star offensive weapon, or star defensive player, we're allowed to change. Other than that, no.
right, yep. That would be my thought process. So
Because like a quarterback is, I know it's not everything, but it is everything. Because it's like if Geno Smith or Joe Burrow went out, that would change that game completely.
I mean, I would like to remind you about San Francisco pre Brock Purdy.
Okay, well, when Jimmy Garoppolo went out before, they sucked.
I mean, hey, yeah, but I mean, Jimmy G, like I said, he's a quarterback who won't lose you the game, but he's not going to win you the game. So
Fair. Kind of like the Monday night game.
yeah, that was such a glory. I still that might be my Super Bowl as a Vikings fan was seeing the Raiders beat the Packers the way they did.
Not even your team finally getting a win this year.
No, I don't care about that. No, our record against the Panthers is pretty good recently. Um, so I don't really care, and I
Hasn't
don't have anything against the Panthers. I have everything against the Packers.
in the
So,
year.
huh?
You want to know who a team that hasn't had a good record in the past year? The Bears.
Yeah.
One win in what, 360 plus days?
No, they almost hit a year.
Almost. Well, 350 then.
We had the no, because we had the opportunity to give them their first win before the calendar year passed, and they got their win last week. So I don't know how exactly it would be, but um, if I don't know when their last win was before the Commanders,
It was like before October 20th.
hey, at least that can't be added on. They already got their win, so there's There's no chance the Vikings get super, made fun of anymore because they got their win. Had
unless
they not lost at the Commanders, you'd be saying, here's the plan for the next podcast if the Vikings lose. But
unless he gets like 400 yards and 5 TDs.
he's done he basically been doing that the past 2 weeks.
Well, no, but still, because it would be on your team.
I mean, honestly, that is fair though, because Mahomes did not have Mahomes level numbers against us.
And
So
Justin Fields goes for 400.
yeah. So we gave a career day to Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen.
Here comes
Jalen Hurts, but yet Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts did not have very good games against us. So passing wise, anyway. Actually, when I say, cause I said that because Jalen Hurts had 2 rushing touchdowns with the brotherly shove against us, just like last year. But
also
Mahomes actually didn't run a single time against us in that game.
apparently the Jets are giving him 11 kisses.
They're giving who now what?
They're giving Jalen Hurts 11 kisses.
Why?
I don't know.
Interesting.
That's just the news article I saw earlier.
Hmm. Interesting. But yeah, so I mean, literally, what it's not even going to be embarrassing if Minnesota loses. We're out Justin Jefferson, and both teams have the same record, and it's in Chicago. So this is actually a great situation because now I don't have to be super nervous for this game because it's like, okay, this is our first game without JJ, and we have the same record as the Bears now. So there's nothing to be embarrassed about if we lose. We've been losing, so who really cares?
Unless you tie.
I mean, if we tie, I I still don't care. I'm at the point of just peak. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Again, 2024, much more important year than this year. This was supposed to be a eat the dead cap year, develop the younger guys year, go into 2024, see what you got.
Or
So,
bring Cousins back and he sucks.
I mean, if that's what we have to do to keep JJ happy, I'm fine with that. Again, my entire happiness hinges on Justin Jefferson staying with the Vikings because Adam Thielen is no longer there. If Adam Thielen was still here, I would still, cling to the Vikings with my heart because Adam Thielen is the perfect Minnesota man story, you know. Um, but now it's entirely based off of Justin Jefferson.
We're gonna need to do a live stream on the trade deadline game or trade deadline day, especially if Justin Jefferson's in any trade ideas, because you're gonna be stressing the hell out.
I'll agree to that under one condition. Are you gonna ask me what the condition is?
I'm waiting.
You cannot say anything about any Vikings players at all because you had such a good prediction with the draft and apparently with how many Vikings players get injured. I don't want to see you trade people. So,
Hmm.
no. You can if I will agree to live stream it with you if you agree to not mention any Vikings players' names ever during the stream.
Oh, during the stream.
Exactly. Or actually, you know what? Yeah, you can't mention any Vikings players by name until after the trade deadline.
Well, that's not fair.
Now, well, you made me rethink it, so there you go.
I was about
That
to
you
say
can you
Everson
can
Griffin looks like a good trade piece for a team needing defensive help.
blame yourself for that one. But okay, how about this? I'll say you can't mention Justin Jefferson until after the trade deadline. You can't mention any Vikings players during the stream.
Unless they're traded.
If it's actual news and they've actually been traded, that's fine. But rumors
Trade rumors.
or you just saying stuff to say stuff off
Say trade
limits.
rumors.
Huh?
I'm allowed to say trade rumors. I'm not allowed to say just random crap to somehow like will it into existence.
Right, but I don't want to talk about rumors associated with Justin Jefferson.
AKA like
That,
Alexander Madison being traded to somewhere.
that's fine.
Okay.
No hate to Madison, but it's just like Justin Jefferson is on another level. He is the Vikings.
I was just using
So
it as a reference.
yeah, exactly. So if you say like, oh, it's rumored Madison's gonna go to the Chargers or something, like, sure. Like, that's fine.
But I can't just say, Alexander Madison, bye.
Yeah, you can't just bring his name up out of nowhere and be like, yeah, like if it's rumored he's going somewhere, you can say that. But again, not with Justin Jefferson. Even if there's rumors about Justin Jefferson, no talkie about Justin Jefferson until after the trade deadline.
Or I see news and then I get to laugh.
Eh, I
You
like to think he'd stick with the team.
you
I
know it,
think he
Tyler.
I think he will. Anyway, those are my conditions to do the live stream. No talking about Justin Jefferson going anywhere until after the trade deadline. And no talking about Vikings players going anywhere during the live stream.
That's fair.
Okay,
Do it. We don't know yet.
cool.
To be determined, but
To
that'll
be determined. All right. Well, now that we've cleared that up, thank you for watching this long video. If you have watched it, we wanted to condense it because there was no point in going over week 5 in depth. So, um, and also Matt's had a pretty busy week. So, want to make it a little bit easier. So, we hope you enjoyed the picture of Grogu, um, who apparently is an accident waiting to happen.
no,
So
act-
I know it's the Cowboys, but it's funny that it's Grogu. So
I might make
um
my new screensaver. I like that picture.
it is a good picture. Um but yeah, I guess we'll just keep the running meme of the Cowboys, and other than that, maybe if Miami loses to the Panthers, we'll come up with something because I mean, it is the last winless team. So if they win, and it's against the Dolphins, we kind of have to make fun of the Dolphins.
If you lose to the Panthers, you get made fun of.
Yeah.
Unless it's like the Commanders.
My team already beat them, so I don't have to worry about that being my. Because I was like, wait a minute, when do we play the Panthers? I was like, wait a minute, that's our win.
Good.
Because that's immediately what I have to think of now. This is how bad 2023 is. Whenever you say we're gonna make fun of whoever loses to this team, I'm like, wait a minute, when do we play this team?
Okay. Your schedule is when I can make fun of you again.
Oh, yeah, our schedule is bad. Like I said, so the Bears is the easiest game this week, and I already said it's a 50-50. We're home against the Niners Monday night with Kirk Cousins.
If you lose to the Broncos, I'm laughing at you.
Hey, we could still have the same record as the Broncos, and that's in Mile High, so I won't be ashamed.
If you lose to the Packers for all the trash you talked,
That's not What do you mean I talk trash? I just said I enjoy when they lose because they're my arch rival. That's like you saying you enjoy when the Niners or the Rams lose.
calling it your Super Bowl though,
Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting them to lose to the Raiders. I picked them against the Raiders. Then again, I pick them every week. So, but I really wasn't expecting them to lose to the Raiders. But no, that's not our Super Bowl. I think our Super Bowl, honestly, is going to be passing the trade deadline without having Justin Jefferson leave anywhere. So that will be our Super Bowl.
I thought you
Or if
without.
Jordan Addison breaks a rookie record or something, that'll be our Super Bowl.
All right, well, I think that'll do it unless there's anything else you need to mention.
No, just stop cursing me. Well, my team, but by proxy, me. So,
I'll see you next
um,
for the trade or the NFL draft.
yeah, no, I'm just gonna deny your call. I'm just gonna block your number so I can't get any text from you until after the draft is over. That way, even if you say all the crap, I won't hear it until after the trade deadline's over. Maybe that'll have some effect. I don't know, but that might be what I do.
And then you turn on your phone and every single thing that happened I predicted.
Yeah,
For
that
context,
would.
I basically stole all of Tyler's draft picks last year by guessing them before the team even picked it. Like Hendon Hook,
Yeah.
Detroit Lions.
No, because for context, it was the fact that he picked the Lions taking Gibbs and the Falcons taking Bijan that we were laughing about. And I was saying how amazing it was that nobody was taking receivers, and he's like, it's about to happen right now. Um,
Four
and
years in a row.
I just told him literally, I don't care. I just want one of the receivers because there were four receivers, and three were taken before the Vikings. We got Jordan Addison. Look who's the best of them
For now.
for now. So, I
And the
mean,
second round happened. I think it might have been the third round. And you were wanting Hendon Hooker, and I'm like, Detroit Lions, here we go. And then
yeah. I mean, I literally it's just asking for a competent backup quarterback, which we didn't have. So, and arguably we still don't have because we don't know what we have in Jaron Hall, but at least that's something to go see. So,
but yeah, that was
if
just context for you all out there.
yeah, yeah,
This man's
it's
dream
good to give them
at the time.
context. Hmm?
I was ruining this man's dreams at the time.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything with the receivers. It was the Hendon Hooker one. I wanted him. So, um, but I was just like, as long as we get one of the receivers and don't pick a corner or a safety or something, then I'm fine.
And
And we
that was
got Jordan Addison, and I'm more than happy. So love to see it.
all right. Well,
But that'll do it for us on VHawks podcast. Tune in next week to see more of Seahawks happiness and more Vikings pain.
hopefully.
I mean, win or lose, I'm sad. So or tie. So win, lose, or tie, I'm still sad. So because Justin Jefferson's hurt. So it does not matter. I mean, I think the only thing that could make it equal is if Jordan Addison just goes off against the Bears. But
Yeah.
like, um, that's like the only thing. Or if Ivan Pace gets a pick six, that undrafted rookie out of Cincinnati. So Jason and Travis Kelsey gave him props on their podcast the other day. So because they all went to the same college. So
We
um
don't know when to end these things, do we?
we don't know how to end it. Yeah, we're just dancing around saying the end. So um see you guys next week.
The end.